Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Monashibel and I'm a manifestation and soul realignment coach. My channel is geared towards helping you become your highest potential so that you can create and live the extraordinary life that is your birthright. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about when you should not drop repeating the affirmations. But before we get started, just a quick reminder that I offer both email and video coaching. If you need assistance in manifesting any of your desires or letting go of the resistance, then you definitely want to check them out. They're all in the description below. And of course, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon in order to receive a notification anytime I upload a new video. So let's get started. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I absolutely love affirmations. Although, of course, you can be visualizing and also manifest. The thing with the visualization, and as Neville Goddard spoke about it, when you are doing visualization as you're falling asleep, it has a lot of power. And so even if you go through the day and you have opposing thoughts, planting that imaginal act into your subconscious mind as you're going to sleep has a lot of power. So it can actually override any of the opposing thoughts that are going on during the day. But personally, I'm not someone who visualizes that much. And I know a lot of people out there who cannot visualize. So I'm kind of focusing a lot on affirmations because most people can do affirmations. Now, the thing with affirmations, you don't necessarily need to be repeating affirmations. The reason I say you should is because of the opposing thoughts. And you already have a long-held story in your subconscious mind. And so long as you're perpetuating that with the opposing thoughts, the thoughts that are aligned with that subconscious story and misaligned with your desire, then you're not going to change, right? Unless you're doing that imaginal act, as Neville Goddard says. So that's why we say affirm, affirm, affirm. It's a way to redirect your thoughts. It's to impress that new story. It's to really saturate your mind, and so that any affirmations are gonna be more than the opposing thoughts. So you're on a surplus. I talk about that in my video, how to impress your subconscious mind. I will link it above. I talk about how your affirmations need to be more than your opposing thoughts. But if you are able to control your mental diet and you have a clear enough intention set, you actually don't need to affirm, right? You affirm when you feel that you are spiraling, right? So for me personally, I like to feel like I'm doing something. And so I do affirm frequently when there is something I want to manifest. I feel good about it. It brings me relief. I feel very much aligned with it. But it's not a must in order to manifest. Now, when it comes to dropping the affirmations, because sometimes clients reach out to me and say, I'm not feeling it. I don't want to say these affirmations anymore. So this video is to address when you should not drop the affirmations. Hear me out. You should not drop your affirmations if you are immensely triggered by the 3D. You're seeing things, you're triggered, you're bothered, you're reacting mentally and emotionally to the circumstance. You should affirm. You want to affirm because first of all, it helps relieve you to some extent. And second, it helps redirect you. Now, of course, when you're looking at something immensely disturbing and bothering, repeating an affirmation can be difficult in that moment. That's why I do say that if you are in that space, try to bring yourself into presence and ask yourself, what is it about this situation that's so triggering to me? What is it telling me? For example, if you see your SP with a third party and you're immensely triggered, you must ask yourself, what is this saying about me? You might come up with, well, I'm not the one who's chosen. I'm not chosen. I'm not good enough. So that's when you come back and you bring yourself into a clear mental space. You clear your mind, you try to breathe 3 deep breaths until you come into a place of stillness. And then you repeat the exact opposite of those assumptions that came up. So if you're saying, I'm not chosen, I am chosen. I am lovable. I am desired. I am wanted. So you repeat the affirmations after you've brought yourself back into that space of stillness. So this is very important when you're immensely triggered. Now, the other option in that case is to just get off the topic completely if you are able to. But then the next day you go back to saying the affirmations. There's a reason why I say this. When you repeat the affirmations, especially self-concept, you become less and less triggered with time. So that's why don't stop affirming, even though you might find it hard in a situation where you're trying to affirm when something's really upsetting to you. That's why I say do that exercise where you bring yourself back into presence, because it might be impossible for you to look at the situation and say, I'm loved, I'm chosen, I'm wanted, right? That's why you bring yourself back into stillness and you repeat it. But when you are consistent and persistent in saying your affirmations, you are literally solidifying your self-concept, and then you become less triggered. So you don't want to drop your affirmations when you are immensely triggered by the 3D. The second scenario in which you should not drop your affirmations is when you have so many opposing thoughts. And these are not necessarily triggered by a circumstance. You're just practiced in that space of thinking in opposition to what you want. When you have a lot of opposing thoughts and you already have a long-held story that matches those thoughts that are all in opposition to what you want to affirm. Because when you affirm, you're saturating your mind with the state of the wish fulfilled, and you're overpowering those opposing thoughts. So the more opposing thoughts you have, the more affirmations you need to be repeating, essentially. And of course, I also tell you to track your mental diet. I definitely say that with habit, you're able to control it. But when you have those opposing thoughts, don't stop affirming, right? You have to keep repeating these affirmations. The third scenario in which you should not drop your affirmations is when you feel like giving up. The problem with giving up, it is oftentimes momentary. Oftentimes, unless you truly give up and you just give up and that's it, you're done with your desire, oftentimes it cycles back. So when you're dropping it and then you're kind of, in a sense, giving into the 3D, this is when you need to say, no, I'm not going to give into the 3D. I don't like it. I see it. I'm not happy with it. I'm going to change it, but I'm not giving into it. Because then what's going to happen is if you give up and don't give any attention to the 3D, you move on with your life. That's often what happens when, let's say, you manifest someone new and you forget about your old SP, and then your old SP comes in, right? So sometimes that happens. You truly give up and you just don't think about it anymore, and then you manifest it. But oftentimes what happens is you cycle back in. And meanwhile, you've given into the 3D, right? So you've lost time in a sense. So when you feel like you're about to give up, affirm. Go back and start affirming. And ultimately, like, I can't tell you to persist on a desire if you've given up on it, right? Because that's what you're feeling. But you're giving up because you're not seeing movement versus you're giving up because you don't want it are two different things, if that makes sense. There's the giving up because you feel like I've lost, I can't do this anymore, I don't want to manifest that anymore, versus I actually have moved on and there's something else for me. So you have to be very brutally honest with yourself, because otherwise you're going to cycle back, and then that is lost time, especially if you gave in to the 3D. So these are the 3 scenarios in which I highly recommend you do not give up on your affirmations. If you like this video, then please hit the thumbs up. This will help my channel grow, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video.